If you're 35 and you haven't invested a single dollar, you're not just a little behind, you could actually be decades behind your future self. And the uncomfortable question you need to face right now is this: how bad is it really? And more importantly, is it already too late to fix? Let's take the emotion out of this for a moment. No shame, no judgment, just math. Because most people in your position don't actually know how far behind they are. They only feel behind. And that feeling is dangerous because it either pushes you into panic decisions or freezes you into doing nothing at all. So instead of guessing, we're going to replace that feeling with clarity. Imagine two people where one starts investing at 25 and the other starts at 35, both investing $500 per month with a 7% annual return until age 65. And the result is not even close because the person who starts at 25 ends up with around $1.2 million, while the one who starts at 35 ends up with roughly $600,000, which means starting just 10 years later doesn't cost you 10 years. It costs you about half your potential wealth. The reason this happens is not because one person is smarter or earns more money, but because of time, since money doesn't grow in a straight line but instead grows slowly at first, then accelerates, and eventually compounds rapidly, and most of the growth happens in the later years, not the early ones. So when you start late, you're missing a big part of the most powerful phase of growth. At this point, most people think the solution is simply to invest more money, but the real problem isn't money, it's the loss of time leverage. Because when you start at 25, time does most of the work for you, while at 35 you have to do more of the work yourself, which means you need higher consistency, a higher savings rate, and far fewer mistakes. The dangerous part is that most late starters react emotionally, meaning they feel pressure to catch up and end up taking actions that look productive, but are actually harmful, such as picking risky stocks, trying to time the market, chasing trends, or following random advice online. And while this feels like progress, it's really just risk disguised as action, and one bad decision can easily set you back even further. Now let's make this personal, because being behind means nothing unless you define what you're aiming for. So let's say your goal is to reach $1 million by retirement at age 65, which is a common benchmark in the US. And if you're 35 right now, you still have about 30 years, which is significant but not unlimited. To reach $1 million in 30 years with a 7% return, you would need to invest roughly $850 per month. And while that number might feel large, it's simply the mathematical requirement, not an opinion. And when you compare it to someone who started at 25 and only needs about $400 per month, you clearly see that the real cost of starting late is not that success is impossible, but that it requires more consistent effort every single month. So instead of reacting emotionally, you need a system. And the first part of that system is increasing your savings rate beyond average. Because in the US, most people save around 10 to 15% of their income, which works if you start early but does not work if you start late. So you should aim closer to 20 to 30% if possible. And while that sounds aggressive, it reflects your situation. The second part is to stop trying to be smart and start being consistent. Because late starters often believe they need better investments when in reality they need to avoid mistakes. And the simplest approach still works best, which is investing in broad index funds, setting up automatic contributions, and staying consistent without trying to time the market, since your biggest risk now is not low returns but losing more time. The third part is focusing on income growth, because at 25 saving is the main lever, but at 35 income becomes equally important, as there's a limit to how much you can cut expenses, but much more potential in increasing what you earn, whether through switching jobs, negotiating salary, learning higher value skills, or building additional income streams. And even an extra $500 per month invested can lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. The final part is avoiding what can be called catch-up traps, which are decisions driven by urgency instead of logic, such as trying to get rich quickly, taking excessive risks, or making emotional investment decisions, because these actions often feel productive but can destroy years of progress if they go wrong. To understand the impact of your choices, consider 3 realistic scenarios where, if you do nothing and stay at zero, by age 65 you will likely rely heavily on Social Security, with limited flexibility and higher stress. While if you start small with around $200 per month, you might end up with approximately $240,000 after 30 years, which is progress but still not enough for financial security. However, if you commit to investing between $800 and $1,000 per month consistently, you can realistically reach $1 million or more, and the difference between these outcomes is not luck or timing, but simply consistent behavior over time. The most important shift you need to make is understanding that you are not too late, but you are too late to be casual, because at 25 you can afford mistakes and inconsistency, while at 35 you need intention and discipline. But at the same time you also have advantages such as higher income potential, more experience, and better judgment, which means you are not starting from zero, but from a stronger position if you choose to use it correctly. From here, the next steps are simple, but critical, starting with opening an investment account such as a 401k IRA or brokerage account, then setting up automatic investing, even if you begin with just $200 per month, followed by gradually increasing your contributions every few months, keeping your investments simple with index funds, and focusing on increasing your income over time, because that combination creates a system that works without relying on luck or timing. If you're 35 and haven't invested yet, you haven't lost, but you are behind in time, and that means you need more consistency, higher savings, and fewer mistakes. And the good news is that you still have enough time to build real wealth if you stop waiting and start acting now. In the next video, we're going to break down the one mistake late investors make that silently costs them years without realizing it. And if you're starting late, that's the one thing you absolutely cannot afford to ignore.